bodybuilding. Number one thing, if you're first starting out, keep it simple. Keep with maybe 3 days a week, full body, compound movements. I'd recommend the Golden 5, making sure you're hitting every single muscle in the body.
What would the Golden 5 be?
The Golden 5 being pull-ups, deadlifts, squat, overhead press, and bench press. So keeping with those 3 days a week, just getting a feel for it, getting really good form, practicing those, do that for a few weeks or so. As far as the eating goes, I know a lot of people are like, well, what's the macronutrient breakdown? It's going to definitely depend on your body type. There's several body types out there. There's endomorphs, which is more carb sensitive, which it seems to hold a little bit more fat. There's ectomorphs, which is basically, it's really hard gainers that are not carb sensitive. They can eat basically whatever they want, and they won't gain any weight. And there's mesomorphs, where it's you're gonna gain muscle easy. You also can be a little carb sensitive. You can gain a little fat, but definitely not as much as endomorphs. And they can kind of go in between too. There's endomeso, ectomesos, things like that. So you got to figure out your own body type and specifically build the nutritional program to that. So that's going to take a little time. That's fine. If you're bulking, have maybe 300, 400, 500 calories in the surplus every day to see how your body reacts to it. And if you're cutting, have the exact same 300, 400, 500 calories in the deficit every day to see how your body reacts to that, to make sure that you're either slowly gaining or slowly losing depending on your goal.
Lifting weight, eating right, that lifestyle, it's a lot like learning a new language if you approach it that way. You're not going to learn the language overnight. Don't freak yourself out over it. If you're not exactly where you want to be after 6 months, do not stress yourself out going, oh my God, I didn't hit my goal. What do I do? It takes time. And over that time, you're going to learn new things about yourself, how you develop, what really works for you. And it's exciting as well. And I would really recommend taking lots of maintenance photos, taking a lot of photos of yourself when you start a month in every week. That way, whenever you're having a day where you're kind of down going, I don't know, is this even working? You look back on a picture of yourself from 6 months to a year ago and go, man, I have made some great gains. I've made some really good progress and I feel a lot better about myself. And as a teenager, just get in there and get a feel for it. You don't got to get in there and be an expert overnight. No one expects you to. And never try and put the bar up, competing against someone else. You can, in order to motivate yourself, like, hey, I want to look like this guy, or I'm really inspired by this guy, but don't feel that you have to measure exactly up to him at that date. If there's another guy who's 17, 18 years old and he looks better than you at that point, don't worry about it, because when you're 25 and he's 25, the tables could completely turn. So don't stress yourself out too much. Just learn, take your time, get to know what works for you, and you're gonna be on the right path.
Agreed.
Ditto.
Yeah, that's it's definitely, when you first start now, it's gonna be about building that foundation for years to come. So getting in the gym is the number one thing. Getting in there, you're lifting definitely heavy compound movements. Obviously do your research, making sure your form is right, but don't think you're gonna have to throw up massive amounts of weights just to gain muscle. Making sure the form's correct, and don't overcomplicate it. Just keep it simple, have fun with it. That's the most important thing. If you go in there looking forward to it and having fun, that's the most important thing, because then you're gonna get in there every day. If you dread going to the gym because you're like, oh, I gotta all this, to overcomplicate it, where your mind's running, you're like, I don't think I can do that, or what about this, what about that? Just try. If you want to try something, have fun with it, try it out and see if it works for you. Number one thing. So,
like you said, keep with it, have fun, and just stay learning the whole way. We're still learning. You're always learning. Anyone who goes, well, I know it all now, that's a bullshit mentality to have. You're always going to learn something new. Someone's going to come out of the blue and tell you something, and you're going to go, wow, you know what? I never thought about it that way. And you're going to make mistakes along the way, like we did. Oh, let's have as many calories as we can. We don't care what kind it is. Oh, let's just have no carbs. You're going to learn things and make mistakes and go, hey, you know what? That didn't work out, so I'm going to learn from that and just not make the mistake again. It's no big deal. You move on.
And now we've hit the end of the road. So
yes,
we're going to be turning around and the windows are fogging up once again.
Oh man, this is a habit. And now we're
Now we're
Wow.
in surfer land. I don't know.
Where are we?
We're in
We've
Venice.
driven so long. We're in Venice, California.
We started on the East Coast, we're on the West
Oh
Coast.
my God.
Man, this was a long conversation.
Exactly.
Like,
Talk about hot
goddamn
air.
hippies around here.